Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're having a hard time getting the 1009 here to start, and we need the 1009 running good so that we can go over the mountain to the MVCC, Military Vehicle Collectors of California, their spring meet. Last year we were camped out down there for several days. This year we weren't able to do that, and so we're only going down there for the day, but that's going to be tomorrow. So we need to get the cuckpea fixed. It's been a little hard to start the last few times, and so I suspected that the glow plugs were going out, and that's generally a cause of the big resistor on the firewall. So what we've done in order to get him fired up so we could get this thing over to the shop, we have disconnected the power going to the resistor, and also by doing so disconnected the power that goes into the relay there for the glow plugs. So we have no power going to the glow plugs whatsoever. So I am going to do something that I do not recommend anybody do. This is only in an emergency type of situation, and that is to go ahead and disconnect any and all power, because when these resistors go bad, because those resistors will take the 24 volts in, knock it down to 12 volts to go to the glow plugs. Glow plugs are all 12 volts on these. And so when the resistors go bad, they just pump 24 volts through the system, 24 volts into the 12 volt glow plugs, and it smokes them. I know that's the same thing that happened on my ambulance over there. And I actually found out the hard way on that one. When the glow plugs go bad, you got to get that resistor out of the system. So at any rate, we're going to do something that I don't recommend that you do, but this should get him fired up. Okay, now with the glow plug circuit completely disabled, so we have no power going to the glow plug, so if any of them are still halfway functioning, they're not going to get any power to them. And you cannot have power to the glow plugs if you're going to do this. Now don't wait for the wait light to shut off when you do this. Alright, there we have it. Now like I said, you want to make sure there's no power whatsoever going to the glow plugs. If you hit it with ether, with power to any of the glow plugs, it'll explode those glow plugs, and you'll have a hell of a time getting them out, and it will damage the motor. So if you have to go ahead and use ether to start it, make sure that there is no power going to the glow plugs whatsoever. All right, we've got the 1009 in the shop here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this resistor. We're not going to need it anymore because we're going to have to do a bypass on it. And rather than have it sitting here taking up space, we're just going to go ahead and pull it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pull your air cleaner off. So you're going to want to pull the whole thing off, get it out of the way. see if I can do this without falling off the stool here. All right, now you can see we've got this up against the firewall here. So we're going to go ahead and remove this line here, which is the line out from the resistor, and we've already got the line into the resistor. We took that off the other day. So let's get that stuff taken off. And remember, guys, these trucks are mid-80s, and so they are, half of them are metric, half of it's standard. Now we will go in and get the glow plugs pulled out, but we're going to wait for the, and swapped, but we're going to wait for the exhaust to cool down a little bit. This isn't good. It appears that we have one here stripped out threads, which is not surprising. All right, and we are going to go ahead and throw a couple of rags over top of the intake so that we do not drop anything down into the intake. That's generally a bad thing. Now, we'll get a pry bar and we'll see if we can get this. We'll see if we can get a pry bar behind this flange and pop this thing out. Put some pressure on it and get that screw will come out. Nope. That is stripped out. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come in, we're going to have to cut the head of that bolt off. Not the ideal thing that I wanted to do, but we got to do it. You're not going to be able to get anything like this cut off with a saw. You're going to have to go with a grinding wheel like this, cut off wheel like this. Because when you get on it with a saw, all it's going to do is try to roll out of the way. And there it is. That's what the resistor looks like. And normally you have 24 volts going in and 12 volts coming out. And when these things go bad, you'll have 24 in and 24 out. And it'll smoke the glow plugs. So you're going to want to pull that out and to get rid of it. And I'll see what we have here. You probably can't really see it. But you've got a plastic insert, and the threads on this bolt have seized up on it, and so it's just spinning in the body. So, but you're not going to need this space for anything else anymore anyway. Alright, we still need to get 12 volts to the glow plug relay there. And what we're going to do is we're going to run a wire from that relay along the firewall around into this front battery. Now if you notice here on this one, this is our 12 volt lead to the rest of the vehicle. I want to go ahead and isolate that to this battery here, so that we're running the glow plugs, because that's a high draw, high amperage draw, and I want to be able to run that off of just one single battery. So what we're going to do is we've got some 8-gauge wire, and we're going to run a wire from this positive terminal here around, because from the ground to this positive terminal gives us 12 volts. And then this is also 12 volts here. So we're basically coming off of the same circuit, but at any rate, it'll pull it directly from this battery. So what we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, we're going to run that wire. Now, this is 8-gauge. You want to run as heavy a wire as you can. There's a lot of current going through it. And of course, nobody carries the correct connectors, ring terminals, anymore. They're either too small or too big for the correct 8-gauge wire. And so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take and try to open this up a 1/16 of an inch so that it'll fit on that stud. So the way you do it, don't try this with a regular drill bit. You're going to want a step drill bit. And so in order to easily open these up, you're going to need a step drill bit that looks like this. And you're going to want a vise. And we'll show you how we do that. Alright, you're going to want to take your terminal, put it in a vise. You don't want to tighten it down real tight. Put your drill bit in, and you're going to want to set it down to the low speed. So you're just going to slowly open it up to the size that you need, which in our case is 5/16. Because if you hit it real quick, see how it's starting to kind of grab there? What it'll do is it'll grab this thing and it will spin it. And you sure as heck don't want to be holding it in your hand when that happens. Flip it over, come back in, and just slowly touch it, and that'll deburr it. And then that should bring it out to 5/16 so that we can go ahead and mount it on the relay. Now when you go to crimp this, make sure you strip them correctly. When you go to crimp it, do not use these. These are the kind of cheap ones you can get. They're fine for smaller wire, but you're going to need something that's pretty solid to go ahead and crimp these down. Set it in. And these are actually not quite the right ones either. But these are better than the other ones. So make sure you get it crimped good and tight. Give it a tug. Make sure that it's not going to come out. And then you can pull back the cover there. And hit it again. And then either wrap it with some heat shrink or some electrical tape. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull this plastic piece off altogether and get some heat shrink, and then we'll heat shrink that. A heat gun probably is the best way to do this, but a lighter will work too. All right, we've got it hooked up to the relay there, and we're going to route it around here and into this battery. So we need to, gonna have to open up another one of these, and actually I think what we're going to do is we're going to use a little different one. So we're going to use one of these. It's a little bit larger, a little bit heavier lug. It's for a 6 gauge, but it'll compress down to the 8 gauge. And so we're going to first of all get our heat shrink put up here and out of the way, and then we'll strip this back. Now, most of your wire strippers that you can get from, you know, like the hardware store or from the auto parts store and stuff like that, is not going to go up to this big a wire. So, you're going to have to either get one that will handle this this size of wire, or the pocket knife. Make sure you get a good quality wire too. Alright, now what we're going to do here is we're going to find a bigger crimper. I know I have one laying around here somewhere, so we're going to try to find a little bit bigger crimper. Alright, we have found our big wire crimpers. We have not used these in a long time. Well, it is definitely crimped. It's not pretty, but it's crimped. Not pretty at all, actually. Alright, now the next thing we got to do is hook it up. But what we're going to do first is we're going to pull the negative terminal there, and that way we don't have any power, any juice going to the chassis anymore. That's just a good, safe way to do it. All right, there we go. Now for the glow plugs. This is going to be the fun part. All right, folks, the glow plugs are going to be down at the end of these little green wires right here. And so you're going to want to very carefully, there's 4 on each side. You're going to want to go in and very carefully pull the connectors off. And then I would recommend using a regular ratchet. I wouldn't go in there with anything, you know, powered at this point in time, because you're going to want to get a good feel for it as you break these loose. And you may need a little bit shorter extension than what I have. You're going to need a deep well socket to clear everything. So you're probably going to need several different extensions to get to the different ones at different locations. And we're hoping that we do not have a glow plug break off. Because if we do, then that just turns everything that we've got going here into an overly, unbelievably complicated disaster. You're just going to want to very carefully pull them out. They should look like this when you pull them out. And you'll grab the new one, and I myself use AC Delco 60Gs. But I suspect any of the other brands will do. You don't have to put them in super tight, but you don't want them coming out again. And then take the little green wire and stuff it back onto the glow plug. And it appears there we go. And you're going to go ahead and do this with all 7 others. All right, I'm going to go ahead and time lapse it because once you've seen one come out, unless we have a problem with one of them, if we have a problem with one of them, I'll show you that. we've got them all changed out. We've got the air cleaner put back on. Now the only thing left that we got to do is install the negative battery cable, and then we're going to give it a test. All right, let's give her a test and see if she starts correctly now. Okay, kick it on. Wait light. The battery indicator should go down. Now the light's off. And there we go. Battery gauge just jumped back up into the proper spot. So everything's looking good. And shut it off so you guys can hear me now. With these old Cuckbees, if you haven't had problems with that ballast resistor or that 12 volt to or 24 down to 12 volt resistor going bad, you will. I've got 2 Cuckbees and both of them. I learned my lesson on the Blazer, or not on the Blazer, excuse me, on my M1010 ambulance, because I didn't quite understand how that worked. The glow plugs went bad. I had I replaced them, and then, but I didn't replace the ballast resistor. I didn't understand that, didn't know about that at the time. This has been several years ago. And so I put new glow plugs in, went through the effort, and on the Blazers, it's a whole lot easier to get to all the glow plugs than it is on the ambulance. The ambulance has got 2 24 volt, big, huge 24 volt alternators on it. They're a real pain to get to anything on the passenger side. So at any rate, so I went through the whole effort and hit the glow plugs, you know, hit it, and it smoked all 8 of the glow plugs immediately because it was sending 24 volts to the glow plugs. So at any rate, if you've got one of these old Cuckbees, I would recommend going ahead and doing the conversion that I did, to go ahead and just run off of one battery to the you know, to the glow plug circuit, or to the glow plug relay. That way, you know, you're not going to be running into a lot of problems, you know, down the road. The other thing that you can do, if you can find one, I found a 24 down to 12 volt reducer that was out of, from what I understood, it was out of an LMTV or something like that, but it would handle 200 amps. Now, I don't believe that all 8 of the glow plugs are pulling 200 amps, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So don't, you know, if I'm wrong, well, I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comments, and please do. If you think that this video was, you know, just a bunch of crapola, and that I'm doing it all wrong, please let me know. The more comments I get, the more traffic my videos get. So at any rate, I don't care if you're, you know, making good comments or bad comments. So any rate, we've got the glow plug, we've got the starting problem taken care of. We're going to get this stuff kind of tied down a little bit better, and finish our preps to go to Plymouth, California. We're going to be leaving in the morning for the Military Vehicle Collectors of California, their annual spring meet. For those of you who, by the time this video posts, yeah, because I'm going to try to get it edited tonight so that it'll post first thing in the morning. So if you're around in the Sacramento area, come down to Plymouth, California. We're going to be there Friday. Everybody's, you know, there all day Friday and all day Saturday, and usually everybody takes off on Sunday. And I'll have a video from the military vehicle meet up probably in another week or so. So at any rate, thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. And make sure you hit that little bell when you subscribe. That way you don't miss anything. At any rate, thanks for watching again, and we'll see you on the next one.